Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling. JD is out this week and next week. I had planned on maybe getting a co-host this week to fill in. A couple people actually volunteered, but I didn't know when I was going to be able to do the show. And as it turns out, I was actually able to do the show earlier than usual. But because of my work schedule being a little bit wonky today, I was like, man, you know what? I'm not going to subject a co-host to my flexible schedule, so I will just go solo. And yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and keep talking some Impact Wrestling, man. Just me, myself, and I. Um, we had a very good show this week, and we got a lot of news to talk about too on the Patreon later today. But the opening contest was on BTI. The pre-show saw Bhupinder Gujar defeat Johnny Swinger, and that was talking BTI. I guess the only thing that really happened on BTI that's even worth mentioning is that Josh Matthews brought up that there might be some action figures coming. I don't know, but with MLW getting a deal, it only makes sense that Impact would be getting a deal. So there you go. But we'll go ahead and go on to the show. The opening video featured last week's dissension between Eric Young and Violent by Design, setting up six-man tag match between Violent by Design, Josh Alexander, and the Motor City Machine Guns. So before the match was getting started, they went backstage, and Cody Deaner was talking to Joe Doring, and he was really nervous because he hadn't seen Eric Young in a while. And that's the story of the show, is what's happening between Eric Young and Violent by Design. They hadn't seen him. All of a sudden, their music hits, and now they're expected to go out, and Eric Young's nowhere to be found. And so a very timid Deaner, and actually Doring is never timid, but a very timid Deaner, a little bit nervous. They went ahead and went out there no matter what to go on for their match. And then Josh Alexander, the Motor City Machine Guns, they come out, they hit the ring, their entrance, everything looks good to go. It's going to be a 3-on-2 match, and then all of a sudden, Violent by Design's music hits, and then Eric Young waltzes out, and they start the match. Pretty good match. I actually really dug it. Here, let me get the graphic going. I already forgot about that. Boom. Pretty good match. I actually really dug the match. And the finish saw Alex Shelley actually get a submission victory over Deaner, and at the same time, Eric Young was tapping out to Josh Alexander, and you got that the visual submission, the visual defeat once again, which I hope this means that this feud is completely over, that Young and Alexander are done, that Young is completely done with Violent by Design. There is no reason why they should ever wrestle again. Oh, no, excuse me, not ever, but there's no real reason why we should be seeing this match anytime soon. And same thing with Deaner and Doring. I don't think either of those guys should be messing around with Josh. Josh is on to bigger and better things, and it kind of looks at the end of this match as Chris Sabin was handing the title back to Josh Alexander. He was taking a long look at that championship, and he seemed to have a little bit of envy in his eyes, or lust in his eyes, for the World Heavyweight Championship, and more to come on that later. So we go to the next match, and two of my all-time favorites. Boom. Steve Macklin and Cowboy by God James Storm. I was worried about this match going in, not because I didn't think it would be good, it's because I really did think it was going to be good, and in fact, it was pretty freaking good. Cowboy is awesome, and so is Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin is going to be a big star here, and the reason why I was worried is because I know that Storm's not signed here, and I was like, okay, if they're going to put Storm in this match, he's most likely going to lose, because you're not going to want to beat Macklin with a part-time guy, even though they have done that with New Japan guys and stuff like that. But James Storm's not, he's probably not going to be sticking around for very much longer. So I thought that they were putting him in here with Macklin, and that was going to be the end of Storm as we know it. But we'll go ahead and go to the finish here. So Storm recovered and attempted to hit the Eye of the Storm, but Macklin escaped again. Storm followed up by successfully landing a top rope hurricanrana, followed by a diving elbow drop, but only managed a 2 count. Storm continued offense before he went into an exposed turnbuckle, and Macklin followed it up with a DDT for the victory. So yeah, he hit his head on the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, which gave Storm an out, which makes me think that maybe Storm's not done, and I think that's good news because I was watching this match and Storm is, and I know you guys hear me talk and banter about James Storm, and I kind of gush over him each and every week that he's on. But the charisma, the work, just the entrance song, everything about him is so cool, and he's such a good pro wrestler. This match was very good. And at his age and the fact that he hasn't really been doing much wrestling lately, it has no right to be as good as it is. And I'm like, why they really need to keep this guy around because he's damn good. The guy is awesome, man. So a very good match. Macklin got the victory here after the bell. After the match was over, the lights went out, and ooh, spooky Sami Zayn, or not Sami Zayn, sorry, spooky Sami Callihan. Appears in the ring when the lights go back on, but Macklin is smart. He actually exited the ring, which is what you should do when the stinking lights go out, because you know what the hell's going to happen. Some asshole is going to be in there standing with a baseball bat, and that's exactly what happened. So Macklin was too smart for old Sami Callihan. He was up on the stage, and they looked at each other, and in some type of acknowledgement, I think this means they're going to wrestle. Probably in Chicago. Who knows? Probably at Emergence, but we'll see. We'll see where this leads us. And then next, we got a promo airing for the Ric Flair moment of the week, showcasing his performance at TNA Lockdown 2010. I'll be honest, this was on the whole skip meter for me. Not that I don't like to see some of the old stuff, but I just was a little bit pressed for time, so I fast forwarded through that moment. I did see him get thrown into some thumbtacks, so I don't know. It doesn't appear if Flair was coming in for an appearance this weekend in Louisville to promote the StarCast shows, then they would have promoted that fact, and they would have probably sold out both nights if that were the case. And they're pretty close to selling out Louisville, by the way. And I think that's good information. I'll get into more of that in the Patreon. But I think that if Flair were coming in, we'd know by now, and it would be advertised for this coming up weekend for the tapings that start tomorrow night. So it doesn't appear that he's coming in. They're just going to do this promotional thing where they show old Flair clips every week, and we're going to have to continue to sit through these for the next few weeks. So Flair's run in TNA was not good. So why Conrad Thompson thinks this is a good idea to showcase the original the end of his career in wrestling for the most part was in TNA, and his run was not good. He was not happy. He has nothing nice to say about about his time in TNA, which is probably why we're not seeing him in any Impact stuff. So he probably thinks Impact is beneath him. So there you go. I don't know that for a fact. I just kind of think it's true. But he was not happy with his time there, which is probably why he's doing this match again, because he wasn't happy with how his run, his run in the ring ended, and the fact that it ended in TNA. He has said that time and time again. So the fact that look, money is important, and that's exactly why they're promoting the shows, because Conrad Thompson is buying time to promote his upcoming pay-per-view, which is what a smart guy does, which is what a promoter does, which is what I would like to see Impact do more often, is buy time on other wrestling shows to get people to get eyes under their product. That's what Conrad Thompson's doing. So good for him. Very, very, very smart on his part. So we go backstage, and Scott D'Amore was greeted by the Motor City Machine Guns, and like I said earlier, Sabin was kind of eyeballing that world title, and he told Scott D'Amore as much. He said, when I had that title in my hands, I just felt something come over me. He said that he was hungry for the Impact World title. D'Amore stated that he could see that both members of the Motor City Machine Guns were hungry for the title, and that next week they would face each other to determine the number one contender for the championship, and the winner would face Josh Alexander at Emergence on August 12th. So, so earlier in the week, they had announced that Sabin and Shelley would be wrestling this weekend. And my original thing was, why? I had no context as to why they were doing that. So I was very curious as to why this was happening. And this is why, because it's a number one contenders match. Now, put the fact that this match is going to rule aside, right? Alex Shelley, I honestly can't tell you the last time he won a singles match. So why he's in a number one contenders match is beyond me. That makes absolutely no sense to me. Obviously, they just want to get this match going. They wanted to sell some tickets to Louisville. I think it worked because Louisville looks like it's doing pretty good. Louisville looks strong. Um, and they're obviously want to, maybe even get some eyeballs on next week. You're going to get a lot of the hardcore fans, the fans that really only care about matches. They will might tune into this, and they will probably click on the YouTube video, and it'll probably be a video that I share around and tell people about. But for the most part, I don't really, like storyline wise and sporting wise, it doesn't really make a ton of sense. But it's Shelley and Saban, so the match is going to rule. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to complain about. Will it bring in new eyeballs? Probably not. Probably not many. Maybe some. Eyeballs that just be curious for that match. But as we all know, these guys are going to tear the house down, and they always do. And then against each other, it's going to be even better. Um, so the next match I would say is, man, maybe the surprise of the century. And that's why in the title of this podcast, if it's on the free feed or on YouTube, is Chelsea Green good? Because the next match, Chelsea Green versus Mickie James, was a damn good match. And I'll be honest, when this match was announced, I had next to zero interest in this match. Chelsea Green in the ring doesn't do it for me. I think she's a good heel. I think she's better as arm candy for Matt Cardona. And I'm not interested in that. Chelsea Green, when pushed by a younger, not more talented, but a younger wrestler that is a little bit more hungry, or I'm sorry, Mickie James, when she's being pushed by a Deonna Purrazzo or somebody like that, or a Mia Yim or Jordan Grace, she is capable of having good matches. Somebody that can push her to her limits. Chelsea Green is not that person. At least I didn't think so. These two had a hell of a match. I was shocked. And Chelsea Green is a big part of the reason why it was so good. Mickie James was very over. And the reason why they loved her so much in this match is because they hate Chelsea Green. And if two people are in the ring, they're not like classic workers that can have these 5-star classics. If the crowd is into it, that's all that matters. The crowd was very much into this match, and I was into it watching it. I thought this was very, very good. The match started off which was weird, but I think it worked because it was kind of a play on a previous WWE storyline. Where Chelsea, or I guess Mickie, planted a big kiss on Chelsea Green, and it was a big play on the Trish Stratus from 20 years ago, the Trish Stratus storyline from like 20 years ago, where Mickie was basically her stalker. And that's the kind of the thing that they were wanting to do with Chelsea, but they didn't really execute the feud very well. And a lot of it has to do with just timing, because neither of these women are actually signed to this promotion. So it was a difficult thing to pull off, and we got the payoff on TV. Chelsea Green defeated Mickie James. James recovered, and the two started brawling up the rampway before the experience of James was able to lead things back into the ring. James with all the offense at this point, including landing a top rope seated senton, but only managed a 2 count as the crowd chanted, "This is awesome," and they were right. James followed it up with a Mick kick, but Green managed to grab the bottom rope before the count of 3. Green followed up with a stomp, but the referee caught her hooking the tights. The crowd went crazy for this because she had her pinned, but she was cheating, and Daniel Spencer actually saw it, which was kind of funny. So the referee caught her hook in the tights. He broke it up. James with another Mick kick, but before she could capitalize, Green attempted another stomp. Missed, but was able to roll James up with her feet on the ropes for the victory. So she got caught before cheating. The referee caught her, but he could not catch her again. So Chelsea Green cheats to win here in what I would call a very, very good match, man. And kudos to them. Kudos to Chelsea Green. Kudos to Zach Wilson's favorite wrestler, Mickie James. I thought this was like they way over delivered on this match, and I think that if you want to believe that Chelsea Green can have a good match, I think you need to go out of your way to watch this and show her a little bit of respect, because I'm usually pretty tough on her. So when she does great, I got to give it to her, man. I think it's appropriate. Next, this next portion of the show. This is where JD would come in. This is where I really need JD, and where it sucks that I'm alone this week. This was the Undead Realm. This was fucking stupid. This was goddamn terrible. This is a group of women who have no experience acting classic. They're not classically trained actresses or actors. They have no business doing this stuff. This is bad sci-fi. This is bad horror. This is poorly written, poorly acted, poorly produced, and poorly executed god awful goddamn dipshit television. This sucked. It was 4 minutes of my life that I'll never fucking get back. I could not stand it. It was a waste of my time. And then and they tweeted out the full clip on Twitter, so I quote tweeted and I said, "Well, why, in quotes, why doesn't Impact grow?" Well, it's things like this. I will go out of my way to tell people, "Hey, you should watch Impact. You should watch Impact." And then when they do, and they see something like this, they're like, "Hey, why the hell did you tell me to watch that?" It's like, well, I'm like, "Yeah, well, didn't you see Macklin and Storm? That was really good. The opening match was really good. The main event was really good. Chelsea and Mickie was actually pretty fucking good." Um, but what they're going to fixate on is how stupid this segment was, and that's how it goes. It kind of spoils the entire episode. Not for me, right? Like I think this episode was one of the stronger ones of the year. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. But this 4 minutes, you take out this 4 minutes of this episode, and this is a very good TV show. But instead, you got Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary trying to play actresses in a sci-fi show, and it just doesn't work. And it's because they're being asked to do something that they're not capable of doing. It's not their fault. I mean, I guess they could say no. Look, Rosemary obviously loves this stuff. This is her whole gimmick, right? But her gimmick is cool without this stuff. She doesn't need it. She's got the cool look, the cool moves. The matches are decent. She's got the crowd behind her. She's got the character over. She doesn't need to go to this Undead Realm. And so the whole reason why they were doing this is because they wanted to go find Havoc. And so Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie were prepping to enter the Undead Realm in search of Havoc, but Valkyrie needed some convincing. After the two entered the realm, they were separated, and Valkyrie soon found Havoc. When Rosemary caught up with Valkyrie, she stated that they had been looking for her and introduced her as Jessica. So this is kind of like the Su Yung and Susie storyline, and Susan, where they had the three faces of Su Yung. This is what they're doing. So Jessica had bright pink hair and had a smile on her face. Why am I reading this? Why am I telling you guys about this? This is one of those moments where I was thankful I was watching in my office at work. And so it was like at the end of the day. So Impact comes on like 2:00 in the afternoon. Well, I've been able to watch on YouTube the last few weeks because I subscribed to their YouTube service because of Against All Odds. So that way I can watch that and do a review. And well, at work, YouTube actually works at work on my work computer. And it was at the end of the day. It came on like 2:30. I started to watch it about 25 minutes into it. And at 3:00, a lot of people start to go to do PT. So in the military, you get time allotted for PT. I took my PT on Wednesday. And so I was basically in the office by myself. There's only a couple people, and they were on the other side of the building. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go ahead and just kick on Impact. And so I kicked it on. And this was one of those moments where I was watching this. I'm like, I'm so glad that nobody's here right now catching me watch this. And because I'm the boss, and that would be embarrassing to look like, up, Sergeant Gilbert, what are you watching? I'm just like, oh, I'm watching these three dipshits in here go to the Undead Realm with, I got to say the production was actually better than it normally is. I think because they filmed it at Center Stage in Atlanta, which is a pretty good studio. So I could probably go on all day about how they don't need to be doing stuff like this, but they did. During the commercial, I guess over in Canada on the Fight Network, they showed a clip of Diary Destiny Wrestling featuring Josh Alexander battling Mike Bailey at an event in 2020. So there you go. So maybe that's what we're looking at later this year. Mike Bailey cashing in his option C to challenge Josh Alexander later this year, and I think that would break the scale for Impact. I think that would be the next 5-star match in Impact history if they were able to do that. Backstage, Brian Myers was chatting with somebody, but he was interrupted by Bhupinder Gujjar. Gujjar stated that if he won his match tonight, that he'd be granted a digital media championship opportunity. Shut up. Opportunity by Myers. Myers sidetracked the opportunity request. He's fucking writing this shit. Opportunity request, but informed Gujjar that he was on his way. So there you go. Gujjar beat Swinger. Myers did say a funny thing, making fun of I think Gujjar only has like 2,000 Twitter followers. So like, why would he be a digital media champion if he only has 2,000 Twitter followers? Next, we got Masha Slamovich beat the hell out of Tenille Dashwood. Not much to the matches. The entrances were longer than the actual match time. So there you go. We're seeing her continue to beat stronger and stronger opponents. And hopefully this leads to a big showdown between Masha and Jordan Grace down the road. Backstage, Gia Miller caught up with Mickie James exiting the arena. She looked all disheveled, distraught, and upset as she had lost, and said that she's going home. And maybe she's just depressed that she's going home to Nick Aldis. I don't know. Maybe there's something going on there. Maybe she's like saw him work a match at the Slammiversary and saw how bad his punches were and how bad he sucks in the ring. He might suck other places too. Freaking Nick Aldis. And then we go to the main event. We've got Honor No More of Kenny King, Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett defeating the Bullet Club, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, the Good Brothers in an 8-man tag match. So after Honor No More made the entrance, Heath came out of nowhere and took out Vincent in the crowd. So they're doing this whole thing where Heath keeps coming out of the crowd to attack these guys. I don't know where it's leading, but it's actually kind of like, at least in Atlanta, it was working with that crowd. But that crowd was pretty freaking out for everything. So who knows? But it was working. The people are behind Heath, man. They pushed the guy. I'm not a big fan of his. I know a lot of people aren't either. But Impact seems to like the dude. So is what it is. But yeah, here we go. We had Honor No More taking on the Bullet Club here. Bay and Edwards began the match as the energetic crowd chanted "Too Sweet" in the background. Austin was tagged in and began putting on a clinic until Taven was able to switch up the momentum. With tempers flaring up, however, we soon saw all 8 men in the ring before Bullet Club sent Honor No More to the outside as we head to commercial. Back from commercial was Austin and Taven before we saw the Good Brothers for the first time legally in the match. Bay tagged in, and the talent this man possesses is off the charts, and he's only 26 years old, says the guy from The Observer anyway. I think he's freaking great too, by the way. He's got world champion caliber, but not tonight as he's taken out by Honor No More, and King just got tagged in the match. After King did some damage, quick tags were being made by Honor No More, and Bay was in trouble. He finally made the tag to the Bull Club, but the referee was distracted and never saw the tag and was greeted by the fans to a "You suck" chant. After some dashing moves, Bay was finally able to make the tag to Anderson, pun intended. Taven was now on the brunt of the whooping, but before Anderson and Gallows could nail the Magic Killer, Honor No More landed some huge comeback offense. So they had Taven up in the Magic Killer. Taven kind of wiggled his way and pushed Gallows to the ropes, and then Maria did the right between the legs. God Daddy dangly, right where he dangles. All 4 members would play a part after Maria landed the low blow. Taven nailed Gallows from the skies with a splash, and Honor No More picked up the much-needed victory by pinning one half of the World Tag Team Champions. So this is where I think we get to the to see OGK, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett against Gallows and Anderson at Emergence in Chicago. And I think that's a very interesting match because for Patreon subscribers, you'll hear that there's some big news happening with Gallows and Anderson. So stay tuned for that. But I thought this main event was tremendous. Look, Honor No More is great. The Bullet Club is great. The Good Brothers had their working shoes on, specifically Gallows. I would say I noticed him working extra hard. And the match was fantastic. I really dug this match. There was 2 points in the match where everybody was hitting their finishers, and that stuff always works. It always gets me. I like that stuff, and the crowd was really into it. So big ups to the Atlanta crowd. Louisville has a tough act to follow this weekend because Atlanta was on freaking fire, man. That was a good stuff. A great main event. Impact's main events all year, like their opening match and their closing matches have been awesome. And usually, like it's in between is where you get some stuff that was a little bit boring. But tonight, that was not the case. I think every match on the show was really good, or at least it told the right kind of story. I would say the match of the night is probably the main event, but close second is Chelsea and Mickie. And I didn't think that I would say that. The opening match with the Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander against Violent by Design. Not that was a bad match, but I think that match was just designed to close that chapter on the Alexander Violent by Design feud, and I think they did a good job of that, and kind of steer us toward, Josh Alexander, Chris Sabin, and Alex Shelley to see exactly where that's going. So I think they did a very good job of that. So now we have these 2 separate stories being played out, and hopefully they'll be played out in different segments. So, but yeah, this was a very good episode. A big thumbs up for me. If you just skip the 4.5-5 minute Undead Realm stuff, I think this was a very enjoyable show. One thing I did want to bring up, Killer Kelly had another vignette. She's on her way. She was in a shower at one point, and then she's just like sitting in a room, and then she looks at the people. I don't know what that's all about. It kind of reminds me of the Ruby Soho vignettes before she entered AEW, where everybody said there was like some cinematic achievement where they were just following her around doing nothing. Like, Everybody loved those things, but like it was just her like one of the videos she was driving. Cool. Thanks, Ruby. You can drive in Chicago. Great job. And then there was another one where she's riding a bus, and then she's like in a library. I can't remember all of them, but look, they were okay. They were not cinematic achievements, and this was much better than last week. There's no dead possum, but it doesn't really say like, okay, here's Killer Kelly, and they're trying to push her as this like sex symbol. So okay, here she's coming. Okay, what's she coming for? Who does she want to fight? What's her issue? Does she want to be the world champion? That'd be nice to know. I don't know. We'll see. But more news to come from Killer Kelly, I guess, and more of these vignettes, and then hopefully at some point we can figure out what the hell's going on with her. And I do have a little bit of news to talk about when it comes to Killer Kelly on the Patreon. So, yep. Sorry, we did the solo, but I think we had a good episode to review. So thank you for Impact for giving me something to talk about. And if you're not a Patreon subscriber, head over to patreon.com/fightgamemedia and give us your $5 a month for exclusive, expanded, and uncensored content, unedited content, no commercials. Join us over there. Today, I'm going to be talking about. We got some Killer Kelly. I'm talking about Alberto a little bit. We got Good Brothers contract news. We got some stars leaving WWE. Jordan Grace is making certain challenges to former WWE stars. We got a lot of notes to talk about. So if you want to head on over to patreon.com/FightGameMedia, go ahead and sign up there. Join us there. But if you're not going to join us on the Patreon, we will see you next week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. But Patreon, everybody, stick around.